Charles Manson. A detailed look into the life and crimes of occult leader Charles Manson's name evokes chills, intrigue, and a haunting reminder of the capacity for evil to lurk in the guise of charisma. His influence over the Manson family and the subsequent grisly murders of 1969 are etched into the annals of American crime history. This script delves deep into Manson's disturbing childhood. His time in and out of correctional facilities, his rise as a manipulative cult leader, and the intricate details of the Tate-LaBianca murders. We will also examine the psychology behind Manson's control, the trial of the century, and his lasting impact on popular culture. The early life of Charles Manson. Charles Mills Manson was born on November 12, 1934, in Cincinnati, Ohio, to a 16-year-old mother, Kathleen Maddox. Manson's early years were plagued by poverty, neglect, and a lack of stability. Kathleen, known for her drinking and lawlessness, once traded her infant son for a pitcher of beer at a bar, though she later reclaimed him. Family environment. Kathleen frequently found herself in legal trouble, leaving young Charles with relatives who showed little interest in his welfare. This period of neglect sowed the seeds for Manson's distrust of authority and societal structures. Criminal beginnings. At the tender age of 9, Manson committed his first crime, setting his school on fire. He soon began stealing, leading to his placement in various juvenile detention centers where abuse was rampant. These environments only hardened Manson, teaching him that manipulation and violence were survival tools. Manson's life in reform schools and prisons. By his teenage years, Manson was embroiled in a life of petty crime, including robberies, auto theft, and forgery. His stints in juvenile facilities were punctuated by escapes and re-arrests. Each time, he returned to a more hostile environment. Time in correctional facilities. Manson's early incarcerations introduced him to a world of hardened criminals and abusive authority figures. Rather than rehabilitate, these experiences solidified his antisocial tendencies. Psychological adaptations. Manson began studying human behavior, honing his skills to manipulate others. He consumed books on psychology, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, and even dabbled in Scientology. Musical aspirations. During a stint in prison, Manson learned to play the guitar, fantasizing about becoming a famous musician. His obsession with the Beatles and their White Album would later influence his ideologies. Release and the counterculture era. Manson was released from prison in 1967, during the height of the hippie movement. He moved to San Francisco, a hub of countercultural activity, and quickly ingratiated himself with the youth disillusioned by societal norms. The charismatic leader. Manson had an uncanny ability to identify vulnerable individuals, particularly young women, and exploit their insecurities. He promised them love, acceptance, and a path to spiritual enlightenment. The formation of the family. What began as a small group of followers grew into the Manson Family, a commune-like collective that lived under Manson's guidance. They settled at the Spahn Ranch, an abandoned movie set near Los Angeles. Here, Manson preached his distorted philosophies, blending elements of religion, racial tensions, and apocalyptic visions. Manson's philosophy and helter-skelter. At the core of Manson's doctrine was the concept of helter-skelter, a term he borrowed from the Beatles' song on the White Album. He believed that a racial apocalypse was imminent, during which African Americans would rise up and overthrow white society. The role of the Beatles. Manson interpreted the Beatles' lyrics as prophetic messages meant for him. He claimed that songs like Revolution 9 and Piggies predicted the coming race war. The family's role. According to Manson, the Manson family was destined to survive the apocalypse by retreating to a hidden city in the desert. After the war, they would emerge to lead the New World Order. Psychological manipulation. Manson instilled fear and loyalty in his followers through a mix of drug use, isolation, and psychological abuse. He maintained control by promoting a shared ideology of impending doom. The murders that shocked the world. The culmination of Manson's delusions came in August 1969, when he orchestrated a series of murders designed to ignite helter-skelter. The Tate murders, August 8, 1969. Manson instructed Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian to kill everyone at the home of Sharon Tate, a rising actress and wife of director Roman Polanski. The crime scene. Tate, who was 8 months pregnant, was stabbed multiple times. The other victims, Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger, Wojciech Frykowski, and Stephen Parent, were also brutally murdered. Written in blood. The word "pig" was scrawled on the front door in Sharon Tate's blood, an attempt to frame the Black Panthers and spark racial tensions. The LaBianca murders, August 9, 1969. The following night, Manson and his followers targeted Leno and Rosemary LaBianca, a wealthy couple in Los Angeles. Gruesome details. The couple was tied up, stabbed, and left with messages like, "Rise," and "Death to pigs," written in blood on the walls. Manson's direct role. Although Manson himself didn't participate in the actual killings, he entered the LaBianca home beforehand to ensure the victims were subdued. The investigation and arrests. Initially, the police struggled to connect the murders. However, a breakthrough came when Susan Atkins, arrested for an unrelated crime, confessed to her cellmates about the killings. The arrest of the family. By December 1969, Manson and several of his followers were arrested. The case quickly garnered national attention. The trial of the century. The trial of Charles Manson and his county defendants began in June 1970. It became one of the most sensationalized trials in American history. Bizarre courtroom behavior. Manson frequently disrupted proceedings, carving an X into his forehead and later turning it into a swastika. His followers sat outside the courtroom, chanting and demonstrating their loyalty. Prosecution's case. Led by Vincent Bugliosi, the prosecution argued that Manson controlled his followers through psychological manipulation, orchestrating the murders without directly participating. Convictions. In January 1971, Manson and his county defendants were convicted of first-degree murder. They were sentenced to death, but their sentences were commuted to life imprisonment after California abolished the death penalty. Life behind bars. Manson spent over 4 decades in prison, where he continued to attract attention. Infamous interviews. Manson's interviews were marked by incoherent rants and chilling statements, solidifying his image as a deranged cult leader. Influence on pop culture. Despite his imprisonment, Manson inspired books, movies, and music, remaining a subject of morbid fascination. Manson's death and legacy. Charles Manson died on November 19, 2017, at the age of 83. His death closed a chapter on one of America's darkest stories. Impact on society. Manson's crimes highlighted the dangers of charismatic leaders and the vulnerability of disenfranchised youth. Pop culture legacy. Manson remains a symbol of evil, his story serving as a cautionary tale about manipulation and violence. Charles Manson's life is a chilling reminder of the power of manipulation and the darkness that can reside in human nature. His crimes shocked a nation and continue to fascinate generations. By understanding his story in detail, we can better comprehend the mechanisms of cult behavior and the consequences of unchecked influence. Lessons learned from the story of Charles Manson. The story of Charles Manson is one of manipulation, vulnerability, and the dangers of unchecked power. Here are key lessons we can draw from this dark chapter of history. The power of influence. Manson's ability to manipulate vulnerable individuals highlights the importance of critical thinking and recognizing red flags in charismatic leaders. It serves as a reminder to question authority figures who demand blind loyalty or promote destructive ideologies. The dangers of vulnerability. Many of Manson's followers were young people searching for belonging during a time of societal upheaval. This emphasizes the importance of mental health support and the need to guide those feeling lost or disillusioned. Recognizing cult behavior. Cults thrive on isolation, manipulation, and control. Awareness of these tactics can help individuals avoid falling victim to similar groups. The ripple effect of violence. The Tate-LaBianca murders were not just acts of brutality but had profound societal impacts, shattering the peace of the counterculture era. It underscores the lasting consequences of violence on communities and individuals. Media and fame. Manson's continued infamy shows how media can unintentionally glamorize criminals. This reminds us to approach such stories with responsibility, focusing on lessons rather than sensationalism. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the life and crimes of Charles Manson. If you found this story compelling, please consider subscribing to Plunge into Crime. Your support helps us continue creating detailed, insightful content on the world's most infamous cases. Checkmark hit the subscribe button to join our community of crime enthusiasts. Checkmark turn on notifications to never miss a new video. Checkmark share your thoughts. What lesson do you think is the most important from this story? Leave a comment below and let's discuss. Stay tuned for our next video, where we'll uncover another chilling tale from the annals of crime. Remember, learning from history can help us build a safer future. Thanks for watching.